knowledge. We all seek knowledge. And knowledge is symbolized and associated with light. In Greek myth, goddesses are associated with darkness in the moon, and they are very chaotic and emotional and volatile. Male gods, on the other hand, are associated with the sun, logic, and reason. But despite that, Victor, throughout this novel, and especially here towards the end, says that knowledge is not a good thing. And I've already mentioned how it was Eve, by seeking knowledge, that brought down the fall of humankind. It was Pandora, with her inquisitive nature, which, by the way, was instilled in her by Zeus. She couldn't help it. Could she? Just as Victor couldn't help it, could he? But it was Pandora's curiosity that brought upon the ills of mankind, and of course still persists to this day. We can thank Pandora and we can thank Eve. Victor is like Pandora and he is like Eve because he has sought forbidden knowledge. Knowledge that perhaps only deity should possess. He violated nature, so he is an Eve/Pandora creature. We see throughout the book where back when Justine was about to be executed, Victor talks to the policeman and talks about, knowledge and how bad it is. And this is a repeated motif or theme throughout the book as well. Now, I'm not quite sure what Victor would have us do. Perhaps we should just be more circumspect in what it is that we want to do with the knowledge once we gain it. But Victor's point of view is really rather simplistic in that if I hadn't have been curious, if I had not learned the secret of how to bestow life, then everything would have been different. And in the book, people who are associated with Victor, Elizabeth dies because of her association with Victor. Little William dies, who's really quite innocent, except for that he offends the monster by calling him names. He didn't deserve to die for that, of course. Alphonse is a very learned man. He dies as well. And we're going to see, as you already know, Clerval died as well. The only member that I can really even put a finger on, or even among Victor's friends, the only member of the family who makes it out alive is Ernest. And Ernest does not seek knowledge. Ernest is very happy outside, and he becomes a soldier. Now, even though the creature has said, I'm going to hunt down all of your loved ones and I'm going to kill them, either he forgot about Ernest, Mary Shelley forgot about Ernest, or Ernest squeaks out because he just flatly is not interested in no book learning. So we see this theme supported by Ernest not dying like the rest of them. But Clerval, whose father originally said that he wasn't going to send him to school, was not going to pay for him to go to school, relents. And we saw Clerval back in Ingolstadt when Victor was recovering from his postpartum depression after giving birth to the creature. And now they've hooked up again, and they've been friends for a long time. But in chapter 24, Victor says of Clerval, but in Clerval I saw the image of my former self. He was inquisitive and anxious to gain experience and instruction. Clerval, by being inquisitive and wanting to learn, has sealed his fate. He too seeks knowledge, and because he seeks knowledge, is doomed. And again, I've said this in other videos, but I also wanted to point out, this is also what the creature says. If he says, if I could have just remained a brute, I would have never known that I was alone and never realized that I was miserable. I would have been physically miserable, but not emotionally or intellectually miserable. So this continues on as well. And I'm checking my notes here. Yeah, I do write down notes in order to remind myself what I want to say next. Now, Walton has been recording this. And when I say recording, he's been writing it down. And also, I've asked you before, how reliable a narrator do you think Victor is? And then how reliable of a narrator is Walton? Because he's getting it secondhand and relating it to his sister. And then, of course, what we hear the creatures say is either filtered through Victor or filtered through Walton. So we have to ask that question as well. But Victor continues on. He talks about sacrifice. He talks about self-sacrifice ad infinitum, ad nauseum. If you have discerned that I am not fond of Victor, you're absolutely right. I am not fond of Victor, and I'm not fond of Victor because he never accepts and keeps the total responsibility for his actions. He blames it on fate, and he calls himself guiltless. Now, you can have a different opinion than mine. I'm only giving you mine, and it is only my opinion based upon what I see in the book and the conclusions that I draw. But that is my opinion of Victor. But back to Walton. I was going to talk a little bit about Walton. And this is going to be in chapter 24. Again, I've already talked about some of that chapter. We've not heard a lot more from Walton. He has just been busy writing down everything that Victor says in a very short time, but he has a very high opinion of Victor. He sees him as a noble creature. So in a way, Walton and Victor are also split personalities or dualities, in that they are quite a bit alike in their quest. They want to benefit humankind, but they also want to get recognition for themselves. So it's a combination of both. And I'm going to stop right there because this video is getting a little bit long.